Hi there, welcome back. This is our second video on the Euthyphro. And I said in this one, I'm going to talk about some things that I find significant in the dialogue that I want you to realize and think about a little bit. I've got four of them here. One of them I'll come back to and develop more fully in the next video. Okay, so let me share my screen with you and we'll get started here. Okay, so excuse me, the first point that I want to make is the dialogue ends without really getting to a definition. Okay, so is the dialogue a failure? Okay, many people, including maybe some of you, I bet, who read this for the first time, see this as the most obvious sort of thing and the most obvious failure. They never defined it. They never got anywhere. Some of you might think that this dialogue is just proof for your pet theory about philosophy, that it's just a bunch of opinions. It's not meant to get anywhere. It can't get anywhere because, after all, opinions are like armpits, right? Everybody's got one and they all smell. Some of you might see it as proof that things can't really be defined, that there is no definition. That's what this dialogue proved. Okay, on the face of things, I would say it's a silly view about philosophy to think that philosophers simply want to ask a bunch of questions and cause people a lot of trouble. Why would anybody spend their time, devote their life to that? But I think also this question relates to a big question for Plato, which is the question, what is true philosophical success? Okay, and first we have to define that in order to figure out whether this dialogue is any kind of success. This is something I mean to circle back on, and especially later on too, when we get to the Phaedo, we'll talk about this in a very thematic way. The second point is, what about Socrates himself? What do you think of him? Is he arrogant? Is he annoying? Okay, is he trying to insult Euthyphro? Does he make things worse? Okay, is he really as ignorant as he claims to be? And if he's not ignorant, why is he claiming to be ignorant? Okay, is he trying to bait Euthyphro maybe to show us that he thinks Euthyphro is not a very smart person? Okay, this is another theme in Plato's writings, the question of who is the true philosopher? Is Socrates the hero of this dialogue, or is he, I don't know, the goat? Okay, we'll circle back to this question as well. Thirdly, here's a picture of the cave. I hope you recognize this. Okay, the dialogue reaffirms in many ways Plato's view about philosophy in the allegory of the cave and how philosophy gets going. Remember, we don't do philosophy in the cave. In the cave, we are being deluded about what's going on, okay? But it does start there, okay? According to the cave allegory, philosophy begins when we get dragged out of the cave, okay? Now, we don't literally get dragged out of the cave, but we need a question, maybe from a philosopher, to instigate our awareness that there is something more to life than what we're seeing in the cave. And once we get outside, we can start to go deeper into things. Okay, so I think one of the important parts here is that Socrates and Euthyphro agree that there is one thing, we'll call it piety, that all pious actions share. So the pious actions would be the actions in the cave, okay, the things that we do every day. We don't know about the definition of piety, and we don't need to know in order to continue our daily lives. That's the thing about the cave. People in the cave, they are maybe ignorant, but they get along just fine. But once we become aware that there is something more than just the action itself. Maybe there's a pattern or there's a form present in all of them. We are asking an outside of the cave question. That's the sort of thing that's outside of the cave. That's what Plato was trying to get. Okay, the things outside the cave are not totally different from the things inside of the cave. Okay, this is the one thing that this picture doesn't show us very well. We've got soldiers and horses, and I guess that's a dog being displayed in the cave. We should see them outside, okay? Because Plato said the outside is a deeper vision of what's on the inside. It's not a totally new world, okay? It's different in a very stark sense. So philosophy, according to Plato, is trying to discover the why behind things. Okay, and Socrates and Plato believe that we can do this by careful questioning. We want to ask, how did things get this way? Why are they the way they are? And what is the reason for them? Okay, so the outside of the cave discussion is not concerned with specific objects or actions, but with their nature and their possibilities. And definition, it's not the only thing that philosophy does, but it's one of the things that philosophy does. Third, some points about definition. The dialogue tells us a few things, I think, about definition. Definition, first of all, focuses on sameness between things. Plato will nickname this sameness form. We'll see this discussed more fully in the Apology and in the Phaedon. The sameness is not the same as an example, and it's different from causes or effects. It's not a cause. It's not what the thing causes. It's not what makes the thing to be. It's not what the effects that follows from it. It's something, it's a kind of a direct focus on it. And this can be hard to understand at the beginning. And so it makes sense that Euthyphro is a little baffled by what's being asked. He's never had to ask this kind of a question before. That doesn't mean it's a bad question. It just means it's a new kind of question. Okay, and there's a strategy too that philosophers employ when they try to come up with these definitions. And the strategy is to first identify a general category. For example, piety is a kind of justice, piety is a kind of knowledge, and then try to identify the subcategory, what philosophers call the difference, that differentiates this from other things of the same kind. So there's lots of just actions. How do pious actions differ from honest actions, or maybe from patient actions? Okay, so let's stop there. 8 minutes, much better a much shorter kind of video. Thank you for your attention. And one more with the Euthyphro, and then we're done.